that it must have been something bad. I'm going to just sort of remain open-minded as to what that was. Other occasions when we've been making circles, I've seen balls of light, and these balls of light on one occasion entered a field and chased us out, stopped us making a circle, and I now believe that we weren't supposed to make that circle in that field on that night, and that's what these balls of light that entered the field were there to do, was to try and sort of alert us and frighten us off. In that case, yes, I felt frightened, and the emotion told me, leave, and we did. So that was one other event. There was a particular night when I felt a very strong, overwhelming urge to create a circle, and my colleagues we were very charged about the making of this circle. But we knew that researchers were actually camped out in the field where we were going to be making the circle. But something told us that it was kind of, just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and make the circle. You can get away with this. This is okay. Do it. And we just did. We went and made this circle, and surprisingly, we were not interrupted by the researchers who were nearby. And I was fascinated by how this could be, how these researchers hadn't seen us or hadn't heard us, and how we'd got away with it. But I was running on this sort of energy thing of this is meant to be, go and do this. But I sought out the researchers and asked them, what they had found in the morning when obviously that field was discovered to have a crop circle in. These researchers told me that a fog bank had descended over the area of the field where we were working, and that this fog bank had obscured their view in to where we were doing the crop circle. And in the morning, the fog lifted, and suddenly the crop circle was in view, and the researchers went in. And this was very interesting to me because of the feelings that we'd had, that we must go ahead and make this circle, that this was very important, that there was a reason behind it, and go ahead. But from the other perspective, that we may have had some form of protection in a fog bank, and maybe the sound being shrouded, so that we could create the crop circle, and the other researchers hadn't seen us. This was fascinating to me, that there may be an element of protection going on. We have had clouds part above us when it's been raining, and we thought we were going to get quite muddy, and thought we were going to get mud on the crop. And we went into a field, and although it was raining, it seemed like an opening in the cloud, like an oval-shaped opening in the cloud, stayed above us for most of the circle. And this stopped the rain. The rain didn't come down on us in the part of the circle, in the part of the field where we were creating the circle. And how that can be is fascinating. These things just boggle the mind. You have to be there to see them, but they are absolutely fascinating, amazing. They draw you in, and this is what keeps Circlemakers coming back. It's because of these paranormal experiences. Flashes of light. We've seen flashes of light which don't seem to have any particular source. We've seen flashes of light coming from clouds without any thunder noise. And on one occasion, these flashes of light which were coming from behind a cloud were quite bright, and my camcorder, which could normally film stars and clouds at night, when pointed at these clouds, which should then have been, sort of flashing quite visibly on the camera, you can see the stars, but you can't see any flashing. And you can hear my commentary on the tape saying, oh, look at the flashes, and nothing was captured on tape. So, you've got things like this which are observed when making circles. We usually say a narration. This has come from years of making circles now, and believing that we're taking part in something, more than just coincidence, that we are actually picking up on messages and going out and making circles. So because of this, we've incorporated a framework, like a spiritual framework to making the circles, which involves us saying an invocation, And this invocation is kind of, it's asking for the spirits to come to the circle, to give it energy, to protect us whilst we make the circle, and also for the spirits to guide us, to give us the idea of what they want put into the circle, and also that the circle be for good, that people have positive experiences from it. And sometimes we ask as well if we can have our own paranormal experiences. And upon asking this on a couple of occasions when I've said, and please, give us a paranormal experience, a shooting star would go overhead upon my saying, that we want a paranormal experience. And to me, this is a very subtle but very personal way for me of just being, yes, you're doing the right thing. Yes, go ahead, make the circle. This is okay, and it's just a warming thing that you get back. And this is it. You see, I mean, to me, crop circles is not something that should be studied on paper necessarily. It's something that you should get into. It's something that you can take part in creating. It's something that you can get a feedback directly from. I personally think that the magic of the crop circles works best when people don't know their origin. So if a crop circle remains unknown, i.e. I don't tell anyone that I made it, then that crop circle is going to have more energy. People are going to think that it must be something paranormal, and I think by thinking the crop circle is paranormal, it becomes paranormal. I think that, like prayer energy, that if you pray for something, or if you meditate hard on a particular thing that you want, you actually draw that thing closer to reality. You actually will it closer into existence.
First started about 1995. We'd seen a bit on the news and other people claiming to have made circles and such, and basically thought, let's give this a go, see if it's possible. Not knowing a great deal about it at the time, and just went into it from there, really. And obviously, as years went on, we got more involved and got to understand different things and so on, really. Personally, at the time, I was never a believer. I just thought it was something that went on, and it was a bit naive at the time, really, back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was always a bit of a believer in sort of UFOs and crop circles, etc. But I sort of had an inkling that it was, there might be people behind it, and I wanted to go out and find out exactly what people could do. And that's what we did. We were very surprised the first time we did it.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably easy compared to what it looks like. Our early circles, I don't think any researchers actually found them, because they were quite late in the season and they did look very amateurish, but compared to what we thought it would take, it was, well, this is easy. Next year we can go out and we can do this properly.
It wasn't really till, I think it was the third season, which would be 97, that people actually started to notice them. I think our area was a bit dead, if you like. Nobody really used it. It mainly all went on in Wiltshire and the obvious places. And I think it took people a couple of years to realise that what was actually going on in the area.
Yeah, and the whole time we were really quite naive of the whole scene. We had no idea, we were just sort of out there.
Basically, we go to that trouble originally for our own benefit. I have to admit, originally it was probably for fun. And then it became interesting to see the sort of conclusions that other people would draw and what they would make out of it. And we just carried on doing it and got more into it, really, because people were coming up with different ideas, and there's a whole vast range of people with certain conclusions and so on, and we just carried on with it, really.
Drawing a pattern out on paper is one thing. You can make it look nice and it looks quite clever, but seeing it stamped into a field a few hundred feet across is another thing entirely. That's the reason I do it. It's my art. I'm a complete skeptic now. I'd love to see the paranormal things that other people have reported, but I haven't yet.